Lee Strobel is an American author and former investigative journalist at the Chicago Tribune. He was an atheist, and his life changed dramatically after his wife decided to follow Jesus. This spurred him to investigate the historical evidence of Jesus. Ultimately, her invite made a difference in his life. Lee ended up following Jesus and has gone on to make a huge impact around the world. His books have sold millions. He's spoken all over the world. Lee was invited to church by his wife, even though he didn't want anything to do with God. Hey friends, welcome to How to Be a Change Catalyst. In this 4-part series, we're really wrestling with this idea of how do we invest in relationships and ultimately invite people to our church. Today, we're excited to continue this conversation to kind of keep whittling down. One of the most compelling examples of the spread of the message of Jesus is found in the book of John in the New Testament. If you've got a Bible, open it up or flip in your phone to John chapter 1, and we're going to start at verse 35. This is right at the beginning of Jesus's public ministry. So things are just kicking off. And we see this incredible transmission of the message of Jesus, or the transmission from one person to the next. As I read, I want you to listen carefully as one person tells the next person about Jesus. The following day, John was again standing with his 2 disciples. As Jesus walked by, John looked at him and declared, "Look, there is the Lamb of God." When John's 2 disciples heard this, they followed Jesus. Jesus looked around and saw them following and said, "What do you want?" I love that. Jesus is so great. "What do you want?" he asked. They replied, "Rabbi," which means teacher. "Where are you staying?" Verse 39. "Come and see," he said. It was about 4:00 in the afternoon when they went with him to the place he was staying, and they remained with him for the rest of the day. Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, was one of these men who had heard John and then followed Jesus. Andrew went to find his brother Simon and told him, "We have found the Messiah," which means Christ. Then Andrew brought Simon to meet Jesus. Looking intently at Simon, Jesus said, "Your name is Simon, son of John, but you will be called Cephas," which means Peter. The next day, Jesus decided to go to Galilee. He found Philip and said to him, "Come, follow me." Philip was from Bethsaida, Andrew and Peter's hometown. Philip went to look for Nathanael and told him, "We have found the very person Moses and the prophets wrote about. His name is Jesus, the son of Joseph from Nazareth." And I love this. "Nazareth," exclaimed Nathanael. "Can anything good come from Nazareth?" "Come and see for yourself," Philip replied. As they approached, Jesus said, "Now here is a genuine son of Israel, a man of complete integrity." "How do you know about me?" Nathanael said. "I could see you under a fig tree before Philip found you." Then Nathanael exclaimed, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God, the King of Israel." Friends, I love that story for a couple reasons. First of all, we really see this idea of one person following Jesus and then telling another person. You see this idea of, as individuals, people are being impacted by the story of Jesus, and it's going from one person to the next. The other piece of this puzzle that we see here in John is this repeated phrase, "Come and see." Friends, that's really what is at the core, the heart of a personal invite to come to our church. It's simply saying to people, hey, you should come and see the good things that are happening at our church. That's how the message of Jesus is spread from one person to the next. If from one person who's been impacted by Jesus, that's you, to another person who will be impacted by Jesus. It's about us stepping out and simply saying, "Come and see." Friends, this week we're going to ask you to actually invite one person to come to church. I know this is what we've been talking about for a couple weeks, but this is the week we're going to do it. Now, our church has done all kinds of things to make this easy. Check out our website. You'll see what's coming up next. I want you to think about what the things that are going on even this coming weekend at the church. What are the things that are happening there that the people in my life would know or could connect with? You could say to that individual that you're going to invite, "Hey, why don't you come with me to church this weekend? We could go because of these things that are going on, because of this great message that our pastor is preaching, or because of this cool thing happening in kids, or this amazing thing going on with our music team. This is a great thing going on that I think you, person, would love to come and see." That's really how simple invites can be. Now, as a church, we provide you all kinds of resources. We'll give you, from time to time cards. We make things on the website that you could send to people, or we post stuff on social media. All of those, you can use them, but at the core, it's about saying, listen, I want to invite you to come and see. The important thing is to be what I like to call a bringer. You want to be the person that doesn't invite someone to come passively. You want to say, come with me to the church this weekend. Why don't I meet you in the morning? We'll go to church and then we'll go to lunch after. Why don't I meet you and I'll bring your kids and make sure that they get plugged in well. And then I'll sit with you at church this weekend. It's about being a bringer. Come and see what God is doing. You know, when I was a kid, I used to love die-cast cars. You know, like these little tiny die-cast cars. I loved like the racing cars. That was kind of fun. You know, like they had maybe 1 or 2 seats in them. Then there were cars with lots of seats. And, you know, I even had one that was a bus. Now, this one was the closest thing I could find. I think an old, I'm not even sure what that is, but it has 4 rows of seats in it. And you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the fact that we're trying to ask people to come jump in the bus and on our faith journey. We're saying, hey, why don't you come with us? Why don't you get in and go in the same direction? We're asking people to join in the journey that God has us on. We're saying, hey, come with us with what God's doing in our world. Come join, jump in the bus, and come and see what's happening at church this weekend. All right, friends, so this is your challenge. Last time, we talked about 4 different people. What we want you to do now is we want you this week to be praying for an opportunity to invite one of those 4 people to church this week. What you want to be doing is looking and thinking for an opportunity to invite one of those 4 people. Now, that opportunity may not come up. There may not be a natural opening with one of those people, but before we hit our next video in these coming days, I want you to actually invite one person to come this week. That person may not actually come, but that's okay. Our job is to do the inviting. Our job is to do the investing in relationship. That's the part that we're responsible for. Because of God's grace in our lives, we're moved to action to invest in relationships and invite people to come and see. Thanks so much, friends. I'm so glad that you're a part of this challenge. I look forward to hearing about how your invite goes this week. Again, don't think about tons of people. Think about just one. That's how you and I can be a change catalyst.